Good evening. My name is Hunter Hyatt, and I'm going to be talking about my report on accounting ethics. When we talk about accounting ethics, one of the first things that gets brought up is WorldCom and Enron. WorldCom and Enron were both companies in the early 2000s that had major accounting fraud, costing the public millions of dollars in investments, eventually the businesses failed and went out of business as this fraud was found out. The common denominator between both of these businesses was Arthur Andersen. Arthur Andersen was a public accounting firm, part of the Big Five at the time, which is now the Big Four, as Arthur Andersen did go out of business. Arthur Andersen audited both of these companies and either didn't catch or didn't do anything about the fraud that was there. Because of that, the public lost trust in them, which caused them to go out of business. Because in accounting, one of the biggest assets that we have is trust. Our clients have to trust us that we're going to do the right thing, as well as the public trusts us. We're doing a service to the public by telling them that what a company is saying is true and helping them know what is really going on so that they can invest wisely and that they can have informed decisions so that they can not invest based upon a lie. And this can apply to other forms of accounting as well, such as taxes or management accounting, as there needs to be a trust that the accountant will do what is correct so the numbers are presented correctly and fairly so that the most informed decisions can be made. So that brings us to ethics. And the first question that I asked in my paper is, what are ethics? And ethics are morals, values. As you can see in this paper, there's a lot of different words that we can use, but essentially ethics is how we make decisions based upon what we feel is right. Ethics can vary from person to person, because a lot of what ethics are is our past experiences telling us what is right and wrong and how to make the best choice. In accounting, ethics can be a little different because there's a black, a white, and a gray area. There are things we know are wrong. We have guidelines such as GAAP. There are things we know that are right, but sometimes there are these gray areas. In my paper, one of the gray areas that I talk about is Bitcoin, and how at first and still today people don't know exactly how to account for it. There isn't exactly any direct guidelines, but we can infer from other things. Bitcoin is a form of currency, but it's also a form of investment, and so we just need to look at what it is and what criteria it meets so that we can make the correct choice. But it could fall under two categories pretty easily, so we need to make sure that we're using ethics to do what is the best choice. And so that kind of brings us to how do we develop our ethics? We develop our ethics through practice and learning. We learn about situations where people made the wrong choice and how they can make the right one. And then we just practice making the right choices. And if we make the wrong one, we fix it and do what we can to make it right. One of the problems that we're having with ethics is actually our world economy that we're in today. As the world and the economy are expanding, it's actually making ethics a little bit harder. Many people raised in different areas have different versions of what they see as right and wrong. A person here in Utah doesn't view things the same as a person in New York, and that can sometimes make decision making harder. And it gets even harder when we take a person from the US and compare them to a person from another country. In my paper, I mentioned an article I read about comparing US business students versus Taiwanese business students and ranking what they had to say about ethics and accounting and decision making, and they talked about different things in their culture. And one of the things that the Taiwanese students had is they were very important on loyalty, whereas the US students were not, which kind of makes sense because in the Asian cultures it tends to be more about family and your name and loyalty, and in the US it's more about doing what's best for you and getting yourself in the best place possible without cheating others. And you can see those brought about in decision making. And so as we're having this world economy meshing together, it can make our ethical decisions a little harder because what we see as correct and what they see as correct might be different. But as we continue to grow together, we'll develop a world set of ethics that we can use to make correct decision makings, especially when applied to accounting. In conclusion, ethics are a great tool to help us make decisions in our ever-changing economy. Though the world economy does make it a little bit tougher, it makes it better as well. And as we continually make a plan and use these ethics, we'll develop the best tools so that we can keep the people's trust in accountants and keep this career field open so the public can have the best knowledge possible. Thank you.